Hi friends, my name is Dr. Varun Deshmukh. I hope you are doing well. In this video, we are going to discuss what are the points that you should be considering when you choose critical care medicine as a career, and also what are the competencies that you should achieve while you are under training in critical care medicine. I will also give you some suggestions about various resources in this video. First of all, critical care medicine is a beautiful branch of medicine, and I am myself practicing critical care medicine for now almost 8 to 9 years, and I really love this branch. And the most exciting thing about is whatever you learn in the theoretical part, you can implement it practically, and you can see the results also instantaneously. So it gives you sort of instant reward, and that is very heartening to see. So I hope you have chosen critical care medicine as an interest, and I congratulate you for selecting critical care medicine as a branch for your future career prospect. So now, first and foremost thing that we should consider is to have active interest in the field. So to know that you may have some impression of the critical care medicine field, and I have seen many doctors who join the critical care medicine field, and they do not like it because their expectations and the actual reality do not match. So before you join any course and take a seat and decrease the opportunity for someone else who would have benefited from the seat, I would strongly suggest to spend at least 6 months in an ICU and work as a registrar or senior registrar or clinical associate to make sure that you get to know the branch, and at the same time to find out whether you are actually having interest in this field. And if you are interested, definitely go for enroll in a course and get trained in the same branch. And if you are interested, definitely you will do well. So having interest is the most important thing, first of all, and I would recommend to spend 6 months in the training before you enroll in any course. So when you select the hospital where you want to work, I would suggest to have certain criteria, and based on that make a selection, so that you do not repent it later, and you happily work there and learn and to fulfill your career dream. So from my point of view, if I say first and most important thing is the hospital should be a busy hospital. It should preferably be a tertiary care hospital. The intensive care unit is a unit where all different sort of specialties patients come and get admitted and get treatment. So if you are not working in a tertiary care busy hospital, you will not get enough exposure of cases and variety of clinical situations. So that is the most important thing to look for. The other important thing I would say is find out whether there is academic program in the hospital as well as in the department. So whether there is any DNB or any diploma courses or MD or DM courses in a hospital. So a teaching hospital is always better for a student, and that should be a preferable point in the hospital that you select. The third and important thing is you should find out whether you are going to work alone or whether you will have somebody supervise you. Another thing is who are your teachers. So find out who is the teacher for the academic program. Find out whether that teacher spends enough time in the hospital, whether that teacher spends time in teaching his or her students. So that is also very important. In some hospitals that I know, the teachers are there but they don't spend time in the hospital or teach their students, and that is sort of injustice to the students, but that's how the system works. So find that out before you join, whether your teacher is actually going to be present and actually will participate in your teaching. So that is also one of the important points. And another point is remuneration, of course. So when at this stage in your life you enter a super specialty branch, you would be already 27-28 years of age, and you would have probably started a new family also. So considering remuneration is important. But if all the above points that I discussed are already met, perhaps I would let go remuneration to some extent. If I am getting a good center, busy center with good academic activity, good teachers, I would perhaps let it go a little bit. Last thing is working hours. So in last 2-3 years, I have noticed that most of the students are very keen on knowing what will be the working hours and what will be the work pattern and all. So I understand it is important, but if you want to learn, you need to have a good exposure to clinical situations. And if you are working for limited duration, then probably your training period should be will get very prolonged. So keep that in mind and accordingly take a decision. Just based on working hour, if everything else is good, just based on working hours, do not reject or accept any center. Sometimes when the academic activity is happening, you may not be on duty, or sometimes bedside teaching is happening, or sometimes any important procedures are happening like a tracheostomy, IABP insertion, ECMO insertion. At this time you may not be on duty, but if you know and if you are keen to learn, you may go there and be present, and this will create a good impression in front of your teacher. At the same time, you will definitely benefit from attending more number of cases, more number of procedures, more lectures. So working hours is something which I would put little bit lower down my preferences. So now once you have worked for 6 hours in the ICU and you feel that you like this field and you want to build up your career in this, the next important thing is to become a member of Indian Society of Critical Care Medicine, because that is the society which runs all the activities related to the critical care medicine subject. And the sooner you become member, the sooner you start getting benefits from these. So benefits include their newsletters, their journal, their updates about the new developments, discounts in the various conferences that they organize, and discounts in various publications that they have. Important. The sooner you become a member, the sooner you will be able to become a teacher, and one student can also come under you after a certain number of years, and if you fulfill the criteria. So become a member of Indian Society of Critical Care Medicine. Now during these first 6 months, when you are not actually you have started your training, I would strongly recommend to master certain basics of the ICU related work. So the problems that you encounter in day-to-day life should be done within the first 6 months, and once you start your training, your focus should be towards clearing your diploma or degree. So in the initial time, I would recommend to master the ABGs, electrolyte imbalance, do your basic life support and advanced cardiac life support to tackle all the cardiac arrhythmias and hemodynamic problems. Also learn and master the management of shock, management of acute hypoxic failure, and basic ventilation. You should also know about the fast heartbeat that stands for feeding, analgesia, sedation, thromboprophylaxis, head elevation, ulcer prophylaxis, glycemic control in your patients, bowel, bladder, care of bed sores, indwelling catheters, and de-escalation of antibiotics. So these are the points which you see in all the patients every day. So when you are spending your first 6 months of time in the ICU, try to read about these things, try to discuss and master these things, because this is sort of a foundation, and on this foundation you are going to build up your career. Once you enter the course can be a 1-year course like IDCCM, and it can be a 2 or 3 years course like FNB in the past and DNB and DM in the present scenario. So the preparation would be little different for both the scenarios. For IDCCM and for EDIC, the exam pattern is similar with MCQ in the first part and practical exam in the second part. There is no actual case in the exam, but there are case-based scenarios and various tables. So first we will discuss about the 1-year course or the diploma course. Hoping that you have built up on the things that I asked you to study and work upon in the initial 6 months. You should master certain advanced topics. These include advanced ventilator, hemodynamic management, bedside point of care ultrasound management, and also certain refresher courses, I would say. Those who are from the anesthesia background need to know more details about the infections in the ICU and antibiotic management. Those who are from the not from the anesthesia background and medicine background need to learn more about the procedures and airway management. So there are various e-courses and actual courses happening almost every 6 months in various states and at the national level, and you should plan your 1 year in such a way that at the end of 8 to 9 months you would have mastered all these things, and probably in all the centers there are more than one students. So try and go turn by turn in various workshops and conferences and finish off your skills which are necessary for you to pass this exam. So that is very important. There are refresher courses which are conducted all over India. The prominent ones which I know of are Medanta refresher course, Chennai refresher course. Since few years, Hyderabad intensive care symposium has been started. Bangalore has started an refresher sort of a course. I have personally attended Medanta and Chennai, and I found them both to be very useful in my exams. So I don't think you can attend all of them, but at least make sure to attend 1 or 2 if possible, and polish your knowledge. At the same time, it benefits you when you attend such a course, because most of the time it will be in another zone of the country, and you will meet experts from the other zone, you will meet your colleagues, and your thought process will widen. You will get to know most of the times these experts who become faculty in these courses come in your exams, so you will know something about your future examiners. So I would recommend to attend such courses, preferably in another zone. Now conferences. So various conferences are organized every year, and the most important and prominent I would say is Best of Brussels, which is organized around month of July in Pune. The main attraction of this conference is it is sort of a no-nonsense conference with all lectures focused towards core academics, and many international faculty also attend this conference, and many present their various topics and lectures, and it is an academic feast for students. The second, in terms of quality, I would say is the national conference, which is held by the ISCCM. That is generally organized in the month of February or March. That is also a good academic conference, and if you cannot go to Best of Brussels, probably you can go to at least the national conference. Also, various states and various zones organize yearly conferences. So if you cannot make it to the either BOB or National Criticare, then probably going to a zonal conference or your state or city conference would still serve some purpose. But the larger the conference, the more chances of you to get exposure to the national and international level faculty, and to increase your knowledge. So I will recommend that. Now, so this was about the goals that you should finish within your training period. Now, in your day-to-day practice, what you should do. So when you are taking round every day, please try and attend the round with your senior consultant when he or she comes for a round. Some of the seniors do teach very actively and very nicely. Some of the seniors don't teach well, but whatever they do, they passively also you can learn many things. So also, when you see a patient alone or for the first time, write down your advice or keep your advice in mind. What would you advise this patient? What all treatment, investigations and other things would you advise? And see when the senior comes and advises, whether your advice is matching. Have you missed something? Have you missed something in investigation or examination? And you can always discuss about these things with your seniors. When you have interesting cases or part of the case is interesting, you can discuss with your colleagues, your seniors. That will help you be more elaborate, and that will improve your understanding of the subject. Also discuss with the other specialties like neurology, cardiology, nephrology, surgical team, and see what is their point of view. That will also widen your horizon, and you will know what is the line of thinking of the other specialty. Simultaneously, you will be learning theory also. So whenever you see a certain practical case, read about the theory aspect, and again come back and apply all this theory to your patient and see whether your management was appropriate or not. Generally, what we learn in theory is very focused towards that topic, but actually in real life it doesn't translate straightforward into the clinical practice. For example, for diabetic ketoacidosis, you would read that you should give plenty of fluids to the patient, but when you receive such a patient, your patient's cardiac LV function would be say 15%, or patient would be on dialysis. So you cannot straight away pick anything from the book and apply on the patient. Or your patient would have recently undergone coronary stenting and would be on antiplatelets, and now the patient would present with GI bleed. So in this situation, you cannot straight away stop the antiplatelets. So you have to take a measured call, and you have to take a decision. So these are practical things which you learn only when you actually work in the clinical settings and you know the theoretical aspects. Another useful tip is to keep on seeing the images that you in your day-to-day practice. So the X-rays, CT scans, MRIs, ultrasound findings, all these things, when daily certain reports would come, see the image, read the report, again see the image, and try to correlate the report with the image, try to correlate the findings. So that will give you an ability to read the image correctly, and that will improve your skill of reading the radiological images. See the ECG, read the ECG report and correlate with the report what are the changes. This will also improve your ECG learning skills. In the initial time you may find it very difficult, but eventually you will realize that at the end of 1 year your skill would be definitely much better than what it would be at the beginning of your training. Also in the exam, these things are asked as a separate table, and in the last 7 days or 10 days when you hurry up and try to cover these, generally I have seen people falter at this. So if you make it part of your day-to-day rounds, then perhaps you can learn it better and with more. Now in your academic activity, don't just attend the lectures, present the topics as well. So present theory topics, present interesting cases, present new articles published in journals, in your journal clubs. These all things will increase your confidence, will increase your vocabulary and oratory skills, and at the same time you will realize that when you read something, you may feel that you have understood, but when you try to reproduce it in front of somebody, at that point you will realize certain obstacles, and that will iron them out when you read second or third time. So presenting yourself is also very important. Now for exam point of view, the exam is in the MCQ format. So there are various MCQ books available in the market, and probably over the years the options have increased. You have to prepare for MCQ, and that is different from reading theory from various books. So there are separate MCQ books available. Steve Bennington has 2 editions. That is a good book with good explanations. There is a book called Dellinger, which has multi-professional MCQs in critical care. That is also an excellent book. There are new books by Gunjan Chanchlani and various other authors also. So you can try them out, but at least read 3-4 various books. And also, if you have access to packed modules explain the topic excellently, and at the end of each topic they have given certain number of MCQs. So packed modules are also very good resource to learn. Packed modules are available in the ESICM website. If you become member of the European Society of Intensive Care Medicine, you get access to these packed modules. So those are also very good for preparation. Now for 2 to 3 year courses like FNB in the past and DNB and DM in the future, your duration of training is much longer than the 1 year diploma course. So the expectation is also that you have more thorough knowledge of clinical as well as theoretical aspects of the critical care medicine. And so definitely whatever points I have discussed earlier, you have to cover those. Plus in addition, you have to also learn and master the CRRT, ECMOs, neurocritical care, and certain further additional things like there are various courses in diabetes management, medical law and ethics, research methodology. So if you have time and if you have interest, accordingly you can choose these various options. But definitely you should have more in-depth knowledge theoretically as well as clinically, since your training period is longer. Another important thing which is different from 1 year from 3 year course is the research or thesis. So you have to do a research project and as a thesis, and that is important. Along with it, you should get your exposure in clinical audits in the quality improvement program of your hospital. Generally in a 3 year period there would be a 1 or 2 NABH audits or JCI audits. So make yourself familiar with these things, because going forward you are also going to be working in this environment, and if you know these things beforehand, it will definitely be less stressful in your future time. Apart from your thesis, be part of the multi-center studies and participate in data collection or in any way possible that will improve your CV and increase your experience in the particular research related topic. Also, when you see an interesting case, discuss with your seniors, and if possible, write it down as a case report or case series. You can use these case or your research projects and make oral presentations in various conferences. You can present a poster in various conferences, and you can of course publish them as well. So if you have a goal, you will try and formulate a theory and formulate a trial, or you will actively look for interesting cases, and you will be able to present or publish them. Now, what are the books that you should read? So starting from very basic, Paul Marino is a very basic book, the ICU book, and for a beginner it gives a good exposure to various aspects of critical care. Washington Manual of Critical Care is also an excellent book. It is very concise and compact. Each topic is described in nutshell, but no nonsense sort of a text, and all that is given is important. Even the bibliography has given various trials and studies. They have sort of summarized it. So even the bibliography is important at the end of each chapter. From the Indian context, ICU protocol book, which is by the ISCCM, is also a good book, and certain topics which are not covered in Washington Manual, they are covered in the ISCCM book. So that is also something which you should be having. If you want to get more knowledge, O's Manual is a little bigger book than these books, and Irwin and Rippe is a textbook. There are various other textbooks also. You should be aware that when you are reading the bigger textbooks, you should simultaneously make notes, because at the end, when you are trying to revise it in a short time, you may not be able to finish the large textbooks, and perhaps the notes will become handy at that time. So these are the books that you should read. Now there are certain aspects which are very essential for you to know. So these include respiratory physiology. For that, West Respiratory Physiology is a very good and compact book. For mechanical ventilation, there is a good book by Deshpande, which has given good illustrations and photographs of various. And of course, to increase your knowledge of core internal medicine, you should read Harrison's Internal Medicine. for that purpose. So this is all about the books that you require. There are certain online options which you should definitely explore. So we will start with the free content. So Medscape is a app which you should install in your mobile, and it is free to use. It has excellent data about pharmacology of all the drugs that you use, dose adjustments and various other aspects. It also gives you medical data as well, and it is free of cost. That is the most important thing. There is an app called Read by QXMD. So this is also a very useful app. Once you install it and make your account, you have to select your interest, which all journals you are interested in, and which all keywords you are interested in, and then every few days it will give you update about the newly published articles in those journals and in those topics. So many of these articles will be made full text will be made available at free of cost, and some of the articles full text may not be available, but abstract will be available. But at least you will be able to know what is happening and what are the new recommendations and guidelines in the field of critical care medicine. Another important and excellent tool is UpToDate. It is a paid resource, but as a student you will get a discount when you subscribe for that. But that also gives you excellent information, and there is vast details about various topics, and that is also really good option to explore. There is a website called Life in the Fast Lane. So for various topics, mainly from practical point of view, they have given it very well, and you should explore that also. And if you find the language and presentation good, you can definitely further learn from that. So these are the online content which is important, which I have used. Now the last thing is having a logbook. So logbook is like a record book. All the procedures that you have done, you have actually done, you have observed, you have assisted, all the procedures, all the lectures that you have attended, all the topics that you have yourself presented, the journal club related presentations, and the participation in the clinical research activity. So all these things should be maintained in a logbook, and at the end of your tenure it will be really helpful for you to summarize all the things that you have done in your tenure. So that is about the logbook. The last important thing is to gain experience from more than one center. From my personal experience, I can say that if you work in more than one center for at least a year or so, you will definitely gain more insight and more wisdom as compared to working in a single center for a long time. I have initially worked in one of the very good hospitals in North India, and I got excellent exposure in bedside ultrasound and procedures, and for a fresh pass out in anesthesiology, it was really important. The next assignment was in a prominent teaching hospital in Western India, and in that experience I learnt about the core internal medicine along with my intensive care training. So that also helped me a lot. And the third hospital in the next 2 years, after 2 years when I entered the third hospital in the same region, that was also a big tertiary care teaching hospital, and there I learnt about the cardiothoracic cases, surgical critical care, which was missing from my earlier experience, and also about the NABH related exposure, the quality improvement, the training of the juniors. All these things were new to me, and working in these 2-3 hospitals in a span of 4-5 years definitely improved my understanding. At the same time, changing hospital every 6 months is not what I am recommending. So please be clear about that. I am recommending to work at least a year at a place and then maybe change to another place. So get exposure of 2 or 3 places for at least a year at a place. I am not telling to frequently change the hospital. So that's all about the important aspects of training in critical care, and I hope you find this video useful. And please, if you find it useful, please hit the like button, share it with your like-minded colleagues, and for more quality content in the intensive care medicine, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any suggestions for topics on the videos, please write down in the comment section and I will incorporate them in the coming videos. Till then, all the best and goodbye.